the new harassment policy that YouTube implemented. You guys hear about that?
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with who iDubbbz is?
Kind of. I mean, I don't.
I think I've heard of
The
him.
only thing I know from him is from other creators. Like, I don't know him personally. But yeah, I know what he does and stuff. Kind of.
Not really.
He's collaborated with PewDiePie a couple times, I think, and
Then
stuff.
I don't know him.
Other people too, but PewDiePie's just one of them. It's kind of hard to describe him. His channel is kind of weird, but he had some. He does one of the series he had before. I don't know if it's something he intends to continue, but it's called Content Cop, and it was essentially him critiquing other YouTubers, and it's not necessarily because like maliciously. It was more because like they did something that warranted criticism, like legitimately. And he would do like these crazy in-depth video, like kind of reviews of their channel and them as a person and their online presence and things that they've done and stuff. And the ironic thing is, so what happened is after this new policy took effect, they deleted at least one of them Content Cop episodes that he had made.
Yeah.
So the ironic thing about it is that video was about, I think his channel's name is Leafy is Here. You guys know who Leafy is?
No.
Well, he's one of the, is he one of the original like YouTube critique, like I'm going to review your channel and like trash talk you kind of channels?
Or at least the most trash talk you type of channel. Yeah,
like I think he was pretty much one of the go commit not alive kind of people. Like he would just trash people and just say like horrible things about them and stuff like that. Yeah. And iDubbbz did a Content Cop on him, and that's the video. It was like, this is harassment, we're gonna delete it. And supposedly Leafy on Twitter or something said that it was bogus that they did that and like he doesn't approve of it or whatever.
Ultimate proof.
So there's that new development. If YouTube couldn't do anything else to make things worse for the creators, you got COPA, then you got all this weird like news stuff going on, the ad issues that are going on with the
age restrictions,
just all this stuff like advertiser friendly content and all this stuff. Now they've got to go and like fix something that wasn't really broken. And I think PewDiePie did a video talking about it as well, and he was talking about how the system worked well as it was because there was nobody to call out these YouTubers except for other YouTubers.
Yeah.
So now people are discouraged from doing that, and so like what's going to happen? Like there's no ecosystem to patrol YouTube and help to enforce rules. Like one of the best examples he mentioned, I think, was Daddy05.
Yeah, I don't know.
If anyone remembers that channel?
No.
Nope. Never heard of it.
It was a family channel, and I don't know what the hell you would call it, but they were doing pranks or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I didn't look at their content really. I just saw what a lot of people were saying about it and clips from it. And it's like it was a mom and a dad and several kids, and they were quote unquote pranking their kids, and they were doing things that were really seemingly borderline abuse to their kids, especially like psychological abuse, like screaming and just kind of like things that would seem to be emotionally scarring and stuff like that to them. Mm-hmm. And this was all fine. Like their channel, I think, was monetized. Nobody knew the wiser, but YouTubers, other people found it and made a big stink about it. And then that eventually got the channel deleted, I think. And I think authorities looked into them and checked out their family. And I don't know. I honestly think at least one of their kids was taken from them and stuff. Like into custody or whatever, to protect them. So all of this supposedly happened, and PewDiePie mentioned it, because of other YouTubers finding this content and bringing it to light. So now people are going to be discouraged from making content about other YouTubers because you might just get a strike or have your video removed because of, harassment.
Yeah. It's not going to be good.
it's just trying to fix what isn't broken
Right.
and stuff. I mean, who am I to say, like, maybe it will be a better outcome? I don't know. But it just seems like harassment online, it's like that really falls into the child issue, I would say, more so than people who are of age to be using YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, it would be a good thing to have this, except we're talking about YouTube here, and they're not going to do it good. We already know that over the years they've confirmed they can't do anything right. So there's no
They're
way it's going to
incompetent.
work.
Yeah.
So it's better to not, like, let's say, okay, this is the best way I can think of it, but like having a government, you wouldn't want a really bad government versus not having a government that controls you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you wouldn't have like a overly controlling government that just does everything wrong, instead of just not having a government but having more, or not having like protection and having more like bad people, but everybody in the community can fight against it.
Yeah.
Versus, yeah.
Well, that's kind of the argument with government-run things, just like we were talking about with COPA and everything like that, is a lot of times, obviously, I'm not against regulation. I think that there is a place for government and they have to keep things in balance. But usually, as long as there are rules and people, like the rules are enforced and people are made to play fairly, essentially, the free market, as they call it, is usually better at regulating itself, I think, than having an authoritarian come in and try to force everyone to play nice.
Right.
It's kind of like a game, you know, if you can set the rules of the game and everyone has to abide by those rules, then people can play the game and manage themselves. They don't need the game maker to come in and be like, oh no, you got to do that, and tell each other what moves to make and everything. It's like, no, you just make the game, set the rules, and let the people figure it out. And that's kind of how YouTube was. And obviously there were things that probably needed to change and things that need to be cracked down on. That's inevitable. But it's gotten to the point now where they're trying to control things that they don't necessarily need to. And it seems like, as you're pointing out, they're not really the best at doing.
Yeah, they're trying to control things that they don't know how to control, which is a bad thing. Especially, well, they can learn, but the problem is when that limits the community doing stuff against it. That's when you have a real problem.
Yeah, it's like at some point you kind of have to leave it to the creators. But of course, there are the allegations now that YouTube's not really about the creators anymore. They're wanting more celebrities and mainstream things to take over the platform. Then
YouTube has to do it right. It's the difference.
Yeah.
Like YouTube needs to take responsibility instead of just whatever they're doing.
Who knows what they're trying to do?
They're just skirting past the law and what have you.
That's so weird, especially like with COPA is a good example, I think, of YouTube kind of not apparently doing their due diligence and then setting up a platform with certain guidelines and rules and everything, and then later being like, oh no, we can't have it that way anymore. So all you people who built your channels based on those rules we said, well, that's not the case anymore, so sorry.
Yeah.
Like very good management there, I suppose.
That's why we need a open source platform. That way everybody can, the entire community can decide what needs changed and what doesn't.
Yeah.
That would be ideal. The problem is that's kind of hard to organize and set up.
Well, the problem with that is, like, I think what YouTube is what everything eventually becomes. Because, like, you know, YouTube was more of the Wild West back in the day, and then, like, as time goes on, they keep tweaking things and trying to make improvements and whatnot. It's just like society with everything else, you know, like, oh, we have these laws. Everything works good. Some people step outside the law. Oh, we need to make more laws to fix that, until eventually there's no freedom anymore. And I think, you know, what's going on with YouTube is kind of maybe a good example of that, of why you don't want constant rulemaking and laws taking place to regulate people when there are a few anomalies that take place, you know?
Yeah.
Because then you start to overregulate and make too many rules, and then this awesome thing that you had that became awesome because of what it initially was is no longer that thing anymore, and it eventually starts to fade away. Like, you kind of getting into more heavier territory there when it comes to governments and things like that. Like, people keep having this idea that they're going to create the utopia, that, oh, if we just had this and if we just had that and if people were just like this or just like that, then everything will be perfect. Same thing for YouTube or whatever, until eventually the empire crumbles. There have been great civilizations in the past that have fallen because they go through this cycle. I think it's all cyclical. Like, you have one civilization that does it, and then the next one comes and does it, and everyone thinks that they're correcting the course all the time until eventually you destroy yourself from within. Yeah. And most as far as YouTube goes, most people are calling out YouTube for that. It's like, you're destroying the platform. Like, you're not making this better. You're taking away what was great about the service and the platform, and that you're completely, basically, disowning the people who made it that way.
It's pretty much always a cycle.
And there's nothing you can do about it, because what are the odds that they're actually going to reverse course?
Although that would be the greatest thing ever.
If they reverse course?
Yeah, if they're just like, screw it, we're not going to try being a big corporation. We're just going to go back to what we were. That would be so amazing. Imagine the hype for that. That would be incredible. I don't know how long it would last long term, but short term, that would be amazing.
The weird thing is, like, again, I think, I don't know, like, you get this idea that maybe YouTube is kind of like shaking in their boots, worried that advertisers are going to leave.
Well, I don't think they are.
It doesn't really seem like that would be the case.
They still got a lot backing them up. It's just going to become less and less enjoyable to use, as is what's happening. But it's not going to just suddenly die and everybody's going to leave. There's still too much potential there.
Like, with the whole adpocalypse and everything and ad-friendly content, it seems like people think that YouTube is trying to appease advertisers, and maybe they are, but it would seem to me that YouTube has the upper hand there. They're the ones that have the negotiating, what would you call it, advantage, I guess, where if you're an advertiser and you want to advertise on YouTube, it's like, take it or leave it, bro. We're like the biggest video platform ever. Yeah, so if you don't want to advertise with us, that's your loss. Like, that should be their response. But instead, they're like, oh, you can't do this. So it's like, are they really worried about the advertisers, or is it really that they want to take YouTube in a new direction, and the ad-friendly thing is kind of just part of that, but not really the main objective?
Yeah, what if all of these problems with YouTube is just a distraction for them to change how the platform is? We're just slowly increasing
that's the thing.
Stuff.
They're kind of like, and then they're like waving in one hand and moving the other.
Yeah, we didn't mean to make this a problem. We'll fix it, but they're changing it. Just basically become TV or whatever.
From what I've seen, that's what Tim Pool says, is that YouTube wants to be the new Netflix and stuff. Like, they're trying to get more mainstream outlets and stuff.
I feel like YouTube actually knows what they're doing, which is, well, I think they think they know what they're doing, at least. And it probably will, in the long term, end up working for them. But,
depending on what their goal is.
Yeah, for their goal. But being the YouTube that us creators want is not going to happen. 'Cause that's definitely not their goal.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's a difficult thing to argue, because once again, I don't really know. I mean, like, obviously, I think some people are just like, yeah, the Wild West, that's the best days of YouTube. But most people would agree, especially if you want to make money with YouTube, that it can't be just the Wild West and everyone just do whatever they want. But I don't understand these people making arguments for turning it into some totalitarian regime lording over everything you do and holding ad revenue out from your reach just because you said a naughty word or something.
Yeah. I suppose it is kind of a difficult thing for YouTube to do, because they're so big at this point. They can't just be the Wild West anymore, because there's too many people that'll try to claim it or take advantage of it. So they kind of have to go in the other direction to remain successful long term.
Yeah.
Like short term, if they went back to the Wild West, they would get a lot more attention, I feel like. But that would die off really quick as people started taking advantage of it.
Yeah, it's a really tough spot to be in because it really seems like...
Which is...
they're destroying what made it popular, like I said earlier. It's like, you're taking... Like, everyone came to this platform because of what it was. And now that you've lured all these people in with all these promises of monetization and being able to express themselves however they want to, now you're going to change the rules, and a lot of these people are going to be kicked off the platform or choose to leave because of it or whatever. So it's like, I understand things can grow beyond your control or go in a different direction than you intended and all this kind of stuff, but you have to acknowledge that the platform and the service is what it is, and that's because of the people who signed on and like trusted you to provide that platform to them. And now you're taking that away. So do you really expect to keep the platform in the same form as as what it became?